The next match we have here is Hikaru Shida, the current AEW Women's Champion, against Thunder Rosa. And, the AEW Women's title is...
Women's Champion.
Yes. Yes, that's right. NWA Women's Champion. That she's come to AEW directly to challenge Hikaru Shida, the Bay of Bays. And, yes, the AEW Championship is on the line. So we had a big match here. And, I got notes, but the thing is, I don't know. You could literally save a lot of time by basically saying that Hikaru Shida just survived the match while Thunder Rosa did all kinds of shit on her. She did like Death Valley drivers on her. She did all these hanging pendulum submission hold on her. She did some backbreakers on her. She did a whole bunch of shit, and Shida was just basically just hanging on. I mean, the most Shida did was trying to like a sleeper attempt, and before in the end she would do like her running knees and stuff. But yeah, in the end, Hikaru Shida jumps and does the Meteora on Rose on the stage. Oh yeah, that was the dangerous one. Yeah, there was this spot where Thunder Rosa was out on the stage. And the steps were like right behind her, and Shida ran and jumped and hit her with a Meteor in the face, and of course by default that would knock her head back, and like, her head like just barely missed the steps. That also would have been kind of nasty if it didn't.
Rosa tucked her neck because she almost had Shida gone full force and did a Meteora to Thunder Rosa outside, she would have whiplashed her neck. Whiplashed her neck in the back steps. Yeah. But luckily Rosa tucked her neck, because if she hadn't, it could have been way worse.
Now, one spot I did notice is that Shida did her famous spot where she brings out a chair and uses it as a way to kind of jump on the chair and propel herself over. But as she ran towards it, Thunder Rosa beat her to it and jumped off the chair and propelled herself for her own running knee attack on her and stuff. So in the end, let me just get to the last paragraph. The girls trade some shots. Both girls start doing, punches, knees to the face, kicks, slaps, all that shit. They're both on their knees. They're barely getting up as they're still clobbering each other. Shida gets her with the Falcon Arrow. Thunder Rosa still kicks out at 1. They made a big point about, oh my god, she not only kicked out, she kicked out at 1. Oh my god, Shida got her in a stretch muffler. She managed to get her on the ropes. Thunder Rosa gets her in the backstabber. Shida still kicks out. Shida grabs her for a backbreaker. Rosa still kicks out. In the end, Shida hits her with a running knee across the face. And finally wins and retains the title after basically surviving a match that was all offense by Thunder Rosa. And what are your guys' thoughts before we go into the votes?
What did you think, Johnny?
I liked the match. It was pretty cool. It was pretty badass. I actually like the Thunder Rosa character because you could see at her face that she was literally enjoying being the crap out of Hikaru all the time. She would just smile and laugh. She looks like the villain, pretty wanting crap out of. But yeah, I actually thought it was a good match, and even though I think I voted for Thunder Rosa, but even though Thunder Rosa won the match, I mean, to me, it was either or. I didn't really have
Hikaru Shida won the match.
Yeah, I know that, but I was saying that in my prediction, I was saying that Thunder Rosa, I was rooting for her rather than Hikaru Shida. But, Hikaru Shida actually won the match, but, it was just a good match, I enjoyed it. I liked it.
In reading about it, it sounds like this was one of the matches that got a better response from a lot of people. People seemed really happy with it for the most part. Sounded really exciting. Now I know I got this prediction wrong, but this is an instance where not knowing how the match is going to play out can affect everything. Because sometimes the match itself makes the finish make sense. Because context is everything. So the way it seems to be, it looks like they wanted to tell a story of Rosa coming in dominant, but not necessarily winning, because it was her first shot. But the story goes, okay, hit her with this big move, and then she's looking like unstoppable and dominant, and then Sheeta just has to keep digging down deep to survive it, and then finally squeaks out with the win. Now, not knowing that was the story they were committed to telling, that's what I based my prediction on. But given the context of that match, Rosa coming in and doing that exact same match and winning probably would have made Sheeta look bad. You see what I'm saying? Like, if she dominated so thoroughly and then won, well, that kind of would have been crummy. So, even though I lost, because I predicted Rosa to take it, but the finish makes sense with the context of the match that they presented, so I'm not too upset about it. I think it would have been kind of nonsense if she buried her in her first big match with the company, you know. As it is, I think they both kind of come out looking strong because she came in like a wrecking ball, and if she'd have kept, you know, she survived it, not only survived it, she won. So I think that makes both of them look good. So not a bad piece of work there.
My thoughts are a little more extensive because, as I said before, this was the one match I was looking forward to. In fact, no joke, this was the only reason I bought All Out. I know that sounds kind of weird. This was the main reason because I really do legitimately love Thunder Rosa. I've said it before that I think she is the best women's wrestler in the game today. And this match proved what I was saying. It wasn't just blowing smoke up people's ass. I believe that...
You're allowed to say it's not Nyla? Holy shit.
Oh, could no.
I thought
no,
you have to say she's the best, or else people come yell at you.
My whole thing is that I kept thinking, while I was watching the match, what was really getting on my nerves about the whole match was the fact that I don't necessarily agree with what everyone else is saying. How everyone's like, wow, Sheeta looks so tough, and Sheeta... No, she didn't. She looked like a chump. Like, legitimately, she made Sheeta... Not that she made her look bad. It's that the match was 17 minutes long. And 10 of the minutes, Sheeta did zero offensive. And I'm like, dude, there was like 6 times I knew Rosa could have hit her finisher. So Rosa could have hit it. It just ended it. And the whole time she was taunting the crowd because she was trying to get Sheeta to fight back. You know, it's like that. If you watch enough New Japan stuff or you watch enough indie stuff, you know there's the heel taunts to try to get the hero to hit him, but she never took advantage to any of those moves. And it's just like she just kept taking it. And it was kind of getting on my nerves. I wasn't upset that Rosa was carrying the match because she did, and she did make her look tough. I'm not saying she didn't make her look tough. It just made it seem like Sheeta was like less biding her time and more like Mark said, surviving. She's like, oh man, I don't know how to approach this person. I don't know how to fight this person. And I think a main reason for that is legitimately everyone else in AEW women's division are either amateurs or jobbers. I'm sorry to say that, but most of them are jobbers. And I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but I'm being honest, and I'm saying that the fact that she beat Thunder Rosa, the question now goes, who is next? Who is going to have a match as good as that with her?
Well, if I were booking it, I would go right to booking the rematch because, for one thing, you know, Rosa's got a built-in thing. Like, I dominated you, you just got lucky. So right away, you can go very easily into round 2 of this without any fuss nor muss. So basically what it sounds like is that... Go ahead.
No, the reason I wanted Rosa to win. Now follow me on this logic path, okay? Rosa has what is called an independent world contract. So basically she can, with NWA, same thing with Nick Aldis, she can wrestle around the world as long as she's holding the NWA title, and she's like at least defending it at least every other month or so. So she's been to Mexico, Japan. In fact, right now in Japan, she has a title in Stardom too. So she's actually a dual champion right now. But like I said, she's able to bring that. I think it would have made sense. Now follow me on this. If Rosa had won the AEW Women's title, she could have brought the title with her to these different shows. And then they could have broadcasted those shows on AEW Dynamite or AEW Dark and then get all these people like, wait, what's AEW? Like, maybe we should check this out. Like, it basically, like, kind of get them extra exposure, and then eventually, you know, Shida, rematch, challenge, but this time, it's for both titles, and then it's for a rematch for the title, and then Shida beats her, and then the second time, they do a dual title. You see what I'm saying? Like, the third match they have would be for both titles, like, winner take it all kind of thing. And then Shida wins both belts.
Which would have been a hell of a story. Problem being, and this is where just being a little bit more involved rears its head. Whenever I hear anybody propose those kind of suggestions, as awesome as they sound from the fan side of things, it also assumes a certain level of camaraderie and cooperation between promoters. Mm-hmm. And when you're behind the curtain, you understand how difficult of a balancing act that can be. And it's a fun story to root for, because the way you laid it out, it would sound, you know, amazing. Oh, she'd win the belt and she'd take it here, defend it here, like they used to do back in the territories. But ultimately, reasons why the territory thing all just dropped off and died out, aside from Vince, which was the big one, but even aside from that, these fucking guys can't get along. Like, if you go back to the Super Clash days with AWA and World Class, and you know, they tried to put the belt on Lawler and the whole thing, and the idea being that he was going to be the world champion, and he was going to take it and defend it in Texas, and he was going to defend it in Florida, and he was going to defend it in Tennessee. And in the end, the whole thing fell apart before it even began, because despite having this grand idea, nobody ever wants to make somebody else's property look good on their show.
Right.
So,
well, like,
to us, it'd be great.
But the difference is,
if you're a promoter,
but the difference is, right now, Billy Corgan actually does have a working relationship with Tony Khan. Like, he even gave his blessing on the pay-per-view. He even said, "Hey, I would just want to make the best wrestling for the fans," and like, you heard him. Like, he was actually in the promo package.
He's an outlier, though. Like, you know, he's an outlier.
Yeah.
And plus, beyond that, you have there's all these legalities. Even if there's fundamental cooperation and spirit, you've got all these, well, can you mention this on TV? Can you say that? Can you promote this? And there's all this red tape that people don't even know about. So,
right, no, I understand.
It could be one of those spirit is willing, flesh is weak kind of thing. But it's not to say it's impossible, or that they can't even turn around and do that next week or next month, do the same story, because the way you laid it out, it does make perfect sense. It makes perfect sense.
No, I get it. That's the whole reason there's a rift right now, where New Japan is trying to have a relationship with AEW. They've been trying to have a relationship with AEW, but you know who keeps fucking stepping in? The Young Bucks. They legitimately keep stepping in and go, no, they treated us bad. I'm not kidding. That's literally what's been going on. I mean, hell, Moxley's the IWGP United States champion.
Which you can't hear more about. But again, that reminded me even of when I was a kid, one of my favorite gimmicks they ran in WCW was when Scott Norton was the IWGP champion, and he would defend it on Nitro in these squash matches. Yep. I thought that it was cool because, hey, you know, the IWGP champion's getting a shine. And I thought that New Japan was all in on that. But it turns out they were pissed off,
but no one else
was furious about it. They were like, we didn't authorize that. Bischoff tried to argue it back to New Japan. Bischoff said, well, hey, Norton won. It's not like we had him lose the IWGP belt. But New Japan, the office, was like, well, you're having him fight these jobbers, and you think it's making our belt look good. We think it's making our belt look bad. So, again, there's all these red tape situations. But point of fact, I agreed with your prediction based on the fact that I kind of like that story that you laid out. And when you kind of went with that the other day during the pregame for it, when we were predicting, I says, you know, that's something that would be great to see. So that's partly why I predicted Rosa to win that match.
And now the question goes, where can Shida go from here? Because, you know, Rosa will just go travel everywhere else. In fact, she's got a whole nother show she's doing this weekend. She's doing a whole nother, like, pay-per-view, and then she's doing a charity event the next day. So, like, she's still good. Like, it's not like she needed the victory. Well, and I did like the fact that Rosa was Rosa did. I will say, Rosa did make Shida look good at a point. I wished Shida gave a little more offense in the match. I think that's kind of my big issue I had with it.
It sounds almost like a Randy Savage WCW babyface match, where if you ever saw Savage in WCW as a babyface, he always won, but he usually just spent 10 minutes getting beat up, and then he would just hit a desperation elbow out of somewhere, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like.
It was great to see him win, but it was also kind of like, because he can do better than that, right? But I think that I'm looking at the records for the year here in AEW. Shida was 16-1, now 17-1. I think they're going to use this, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I predict they're going to use this to build to a rematch. I think Rosa takes the rematch.
Man, I hope so. I think they should do that, man. I'm happy as hell.
So for my thoughts, I did enjoy the match, but bottom line was that I'm happy with the result because I just was not ready to see Shida lose her title so soon, or at least, in the grand scheme of things. I know she's defending it almost every week on Dynamite, but, when it comes to pay-per-views, I love to see her retain the title and everything. But yeah, I wish that she had more offense. I wish it was a bit more, more back and forth. Maybe show off that Thunder Rosa is stronger and better than her, but still more back and forth between the two, so that, I don't know. So it doesn't look like Shida just won by the skin of her teeth. But yeah, everyone seemed to like the match. Everyone on social media is kind of like, can we have Thunder Rosa and Shida part 2, please, and all that. So yeah, I would take a rematch. What I would do though is that in the rematch, like at that point, okay, like you said, Shida basically took down everyone there is to take down in AEW, and I wouldn't mind, at least for the rematch, to have Thunder Rosa win. I would maybe use the excuse, let's say for example, that she wasn't ready for her the first time, which is why she looked so bad. But now it's like, okay, I wrestled you before, I got you now, but it'll make it more even now. Now Shida knows some of her tricks and stuff, and more even match. Just have Thunder Rosa win in the end. But at that point, since she already gave us this match, I wouldn't mind her.
What would have been really cool is if they did like a super babyface promo thing where it was like, say Rosa beat her, right? And literally Shida goes, I beat everybody in the AEW roster. I was so on top that they needed to bring someone from another company. And I thought I was ready, but I wasn't. But I will be. And the turns to the camera, goes, Rosa, I challenge you for a rematch for that, something like that. Like that would have been like, ooh.
Yeah, and at that point, I wouldn't mind if she loses the rematch. She already had her shot now. I wish it was better, but she already had her defense now. I wouldn't mind her losing the rematch when it comes to that. I wouldn't mind her dropping the belt to Thunder Rosa then. I do gotta say though, that was super epic when they were doing the signing. Since Thunder Rosa is from Tijuana, she's got the whole Dia de los Muertos thing going on with her look. I like the part that Hikaru Shida grabbed her belt back, and in Spanish, not Japanese, but Spanish, said "Voy a ganar" right in her face. That was epic.
Wasn't this Rosa's first AEW match?
No, she had one in Dynamite the night before or the week before, but it was against a new up and comer. But if you watch that match, what's funny is that entire match she was making the newbie look good, just like she did for Shida. And my dad,
a couple things.
Yeah, because that's how Rosa wrestles in the veteran style. She's been wrestling for over 13 years, and she's been in MMA and all these other things. But she's been wrestling long enough, and she did a great. I'm trying to find the radio interview she did that weekend in Jacksonville, and they asked her, "What is your main goal in your career? What is your main goal in your career?" And she said, "My main goal is She's like, my main goal is not that I want to be the best women's wrestler. My main goal is I want to make women's wrestling as legitimate, if not more legitimate than men's wrestling. I want it to be on the same level. I want to elevate the women's division of wrestling." And I'm like, I think she's doing that. I legitimately think she is doing it.
What was the over-under on predictions? I know I lost this one as well.
Yeah, in this case, everybody except for moi, I was the only one faithful to my Hikaru Shida because, you know, she would have bitched me out once she got back home if like even I rooted against her. But everyone was going for Thunder. Hey, you know, Matt Hardy gets bitched out, I get bitched out. You know how it is. So, anyways, everyone else was going for Thunder Rosa. So everyone lost that one. I was the only one that voted for Hikaru Shida. So at this point, I'm tied with Knives. I got 2 points. Knives got 2 points. Ricky Rock still got 1 point, and Johnny is still going. He's still waiting to get on there. So next match we got here is the Dark Order, composed of Mr. Brody Lee, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and Colt Cabana, going up against the Natural Nightmares, which is Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, and random team up of Scorpio Sky and Matt Cardona. And let me see here. Let me try my best to sum up some of the spots that kind of came to me here. I noticed that before the bell even rang, everyone just jumped in and just started clobbering the fuck out of each other. There was a spot where Uno had, like, Evil Uno was, like, unwrapping, I guess, wrestling tape to try to get someone. Dustin comes in and try and smacks him and stuff, but since the referee, you know, has to hold him back because he's not the legal man at the time, Uno takes that chance to choke QT with the wrestling tape. Yeah, there's the part where Brody was beating the crap out of Dustin, and he was actually like yelling at him, like in his face, "Where's Cody? Where's Cody, huh? Hey, where's Cody?" Like to rub it in and everything. Grayson and Uno do a brain buster on Dustin. He still kicks out, and they do a falling neck break. Oh, Cardona comes in and do a falling neck breaker, and he's desperate to try to attack someone. For a while, he was like the one dude taking all the hits, and, you know, while they're trying to keep everyone out, so he's trying desperately to tag in someone. Let me see. So one part that gets interesting is that Anna Jay shows up. Of course, she's a member of the Dark Order. She distracts Scorpio and stuff. Cardona was out of the ring or something, and Anna Jay is trying to distract them. Scorpio gets in her face. She tries to do like a slap, but he, like, you know, catches her hand so he doesn't get slapped. And then Brandy just comes out of nowhere, does a flying knee to Anna Jay's face and everything. And I think Evil Uno had to pick up Anna Jay and carry her out because she wanted to fight, but I guess no, and stuff like that. Well, the main thing was at the end, just to kind of wrap it up there at the end, Brody is fighting against QT Marshall. He throws QT over the ring, and he purposely throws QT over to Dustin because Dustin wants in on this. So, you know, in his arrogance and stuff, Brody actually throws QT over to Dustin so that he can tag himself in. So Dustin and Brody start trading shots and stuff. Brody hits him with that explosive lariat of his. He purposely leaves them open so that Cabana can just come in, pin him, and end it, but instead Cabana decides to like climb up and do a moonsault, I guess, for a more spectacular finish, but he misses because Dustin gets out of the way, and while he misses, Dustin grabs him, pins him, and, you know, and he's out. So Brody Lee is super shocked. He's fucking, you know, fuming mad. He insults the fucking crap out of Cabana. I was like, what the fuck, you know? I had this open for you. This was like laid out just for you. What the hell, you know? Because he fucked it up. And everyone leaves. The part that surprises me, though, is that Evil Uno actually comes out and helps Cabana up. And I thought it was a setup. I thought it was like, you know, it's going to pretend to help him up and then body slam him or some shit. But no, he actually helps him up, and they both walk off together. And the commentary was saying that Evil Uno was chewed out not too long ago by Brody Lee also. So I guess now they got that in common. So that's kind of interesting there. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I was not expecting Dustin to actually get the final pin, which is good because Dustin, you know, he barely does anything in that sense, you know? And most of the time, if he's in a tag team, the other guy gets the pin or whatever. So I'm glad to see him be such a big factor. I'm glad to see him not be terribly overpowered by Brody, you know, get some standing ground. And sometime after the match, a reporter got to him and stuff and announced that Dustin will be challenging Brody Lee for the title this upcoming episode of Dynamite, so that's interesting there.
You know, it sounds pretty good. It sounds like it got a good reaction. I'm not seeing anything bad about it. The worst thing I'm really seeing is people saying, well, that was 15 minutes. It could have been 10. It should have been 10 for what it was, you know? advance the storylines that they're going with these guys. In particular, it is kind of interesting seeing Dustin get the finish to win. Always good to see because they're keeping him in the mix. Although, again, if that team's going over from a booking standpoint, why not have your shiny new toy Cardona get the pinfall? Because otherwise he's just kind of standing there. But, whatever. I think it moves things forward storyline-wise for everybody. And, Cabana taking the heat from Brody Lee for, you did too much, It's a classic story. It's just like, Vader used to have the match won, and he'd go up for the moonsault against Sting, and Harley Race would be like, what are you doing, dummy? And then he'd miss, and Sting would win, So it's a classic story that they went back to for this. And, it sounds pretty good. Sounds like they did what they needed to do with it.
Your thoughts, Johnny?
I thought it was, well, kind of like what you said, there's just like a lot going on, and then not to beat around because they're bigger guys, but still there's like too much stuff going on. But I don't know. I forgot who I rooted for, but I actually did like the ending that Dustin Rhodes won the match, and I like how the whole team posed. Well, not posting like in the picture, but they're much like it. Pretty much. And I don't know. I just liked it.
Sounds like it was
and
a bad night for the Dark Order. I'm excited
about the match.
Yeah, that's what surprised me too. I'm surprised that they lost both of their matches. Like, what the fuck was that? I was like, damn. I mean, it was a good enough match. I mean, everyone got their stuff. Cardona got his chance to shine. Cabana got his chance to shine. Even QT Marshall got a couple of good moves on Brody Lee and stuff. We got reminded of just how deadly of a tag team Eva Uno, Sue Grayson were. So everyone had their spots. Everyone had their chance to show off. Of course, Scorpio Sky. He's fucking awesome. And we got the little Anna Jay and Brandy scuffle there. So, it had something for everyone there. It was pretty cool. Any thoughts on that, Mr. Knives?
Well, it kind of goes back to my whole thing I've been saying repeatedly. I always try to think of long-term booking. It makes less sense that they lost this match, the Dark Order, solely because, what was it, like a week ago? They won, or 2 weeks ago, they won the TNT, Brody won the TNT World title.
No, that was just last week.
It was last week. He won the TNT title. He destroyed Cody. He, decimated him, beat him, to a bloody pulp. Then the rest of the Nightmare Family came out. Then the rest of the Dark Order destroyed them. It would have made more sense for the Dark Order to win because, that's what they were establishing. Oh, they're a dominant presence. There's this dominant, overwhelming presence that not even the Nightmare Family can handle or, whatever. And then for them to lose, why? You know what I mean? It didn't really make any sense.
Doesn't sound like a strong way to book a stable. It's kind of getting to the point where it's with the Dark Order, it's Brody Lee, and then these other guys. He's the only one with any cred.
Like Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, when you watch them wrestle, they are so cohesive. They are fantastically cohesive. And then you have one of the other stablemates, the guy 10. He's legitimately one of their best guys, but they never use him. I'm like, dude, what the hell? You don't use the guy who's one of your best guys? It didn't make any sense to me. And then I will say the fact that Colt Cabana was the one that was pinned, and he's a member of the Dark Order in name only. I don't necessarily think of him. I don't think anyone else thinks of him as a member of the Dark Order other than he just follows them around. Because he doesn't he come out to his own theme as well?
He's like Disco Inferno in the Wolfpack.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, dude, I mean, half of his matches have been handed to him, and then he gets one handed to him and he screws himself. And Brody's gonna whoop his ass. At the end of the thing, because the one thing that's always the one thing that's kind of bugged me about the whole way they book factions is either make them dominant or make them weak.
Yeah.
Like, but they've been doing this thing where like they're a faction, but they're not a faction, but they're stars, but they're not stars. It's like, dude, make up your damn mind. It's like literally when, okay, good example. If you know nothing about New Japan or Bullet Club, and you see Kenny Omega come out with the Young Bucks, and they go, "Oh my God, it's the Elite!" And everyone else who's like not in the know is like, "What the fuck is the Elite?" You see my point?
Yeah.
Because they don't book them as a faction; they book them as their guys who hang out and call themselves the Elite. Like, well, that's not really a group, then, is it? You're like the oh God, what was the one group? You're the X Factor.
Okay.
Yo, you're dealing with the X Factor.
What was the over-under? I think I got this one right for a change.
Yeah, I think Jupi's also back. We want to say hi real quick.
Hey, welcome back.
Hey guys, I'm finally back. Sorry.
Yeah. So in this one, Johnny got this one right for the Nightmare Family and Ricky Rocks. So that means that, yep, I got 2, Knives got 2, Ricky Rocks now got 2, and Johnny got 1 point. So Johnny's on the board. There we go. So
He's got a point now.
yep.
All right, it's getting close.
So next one we have here is Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, the at the time tag team champions, going up against FTR, whatever the hell it stands for. And yeah, it's a match for the tag team titles. And apparently there's a lot of stuff going on. They were showing clips, because I haven't seen enough episodes of Dynamite, but I guess the big match, there was a match between the FTR and the Young Bucks to decide who would be the tag team to challenge Omega and Hangman here. And I guess they got into the mind of Hangman. So Hangman actually grabbed one of the Bucks' legs during the match and cost them the match. And that's why FTR is challenging Omega now. And the Young Bucks actually casted Hangman out of the Elite. So that's interesting. So going in mind with this, we start off with Hangman and Cash, which, by the way, thanks to Jack Knives for me being able to tell these fuckers apart. Hangman starts out with Cash, and Cash tries to do like the handshake, you know, the kind of like I guess teasing what they've done, the mind games. Hangman just starts clobbering him and stuff. So Cash grabs Omega, and Dash leaps off and nails Omega with a bulldog onto the floor. Oh shit. Cash misses a diving headbutt on Hangman. He does the same bulldog on Page now inside the ring. Hangman kicks out of the pin attempt. Hangman tosses Cash out of the ring and onto the floor. Hangman grabs Dash for a spinebuster suplex off the ropes, but the dude still kicked out of the pinfall attempt. They grab him, but Cash ducks the buckshot lariat. Omega runs and accidentally V-triggers Hangman instead, so now Hangman's all woozy, and FTR get Hangman into the Mind Breaker, and he still somehow kicks out, but unfortunately, they do a second Mind Breaker. At this point, Omega is too messed up from the match to, like, you know, break up the pin, so FTR is on the tag team champs, and after all the hoopla and they left and all that stuff, Omega picks up like a wooden chair and acts like he's gonna, you know, bash Hangman with it. Hangman is still woozy because he took the V-trigger and 2 mind breakers. He could barely get up. Omega does, like, you know, like you're thinking, will he, won't he? But he just tosses the chair aside. Hangman can barely get up. He walks over to Omega to try to get support, but Omega just kind of dodges him, I guess. So Hangman just falls on his face, and he just leaves. And as he walks, Omega's super pissed. He just walks, you know, away, like, I guess, backstage, past the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are, yo, dude, hey, let's talk about it. Hey, whoa. And Omega, no, I'm done. I'm sick of this shit. I'm done. And he just goes into his limo, and it was like gibberish, but it's kind of like you guys with me or you're not with me? Y'all think about it, okay? You think about it. And he just drives off, and the Young Bucks don't know what to do anymore. And, yeah, there we go. So, Johnny, any thoughts on this one?
I would say it's kind of I would say on behalf of Omega and Hangman, I feel like it's a very emotional fight in a certain way, because you see that kind of like what I predicted in a way. They don't have a good relationship. They don't click well. So there were moments where you got, oh god, because they're forced, but they're not, the ideal tag compared to the FTR. You can see that the FTR guys, they click well and they just coordinate way better in the entire match. See that they're more in sync with each other as it compared to Omega. A lot was going on in that match. The ending, it's like a big question mark. Like, what's gonna happen now? Like, it's like I honestly don't think Omega and Hangman, they're not gonna be together as a tag team anymore.
I think Knives really called this one. I think this is going to go pretty much to what he predicted is going to happen with these characters.
So, I don't think I didn't voted for FTR. I think I was for Omega, but obviously that didn't happen. So it's like, again, one of those matches that, you just never know what's going to happen until it happens. So that's the one thing I like about this pay-per-view event, that it's just like filled with unpredictable.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it was a good one. Maybe a little long. I'm seeing a lot of people say that a lot of the matches on the show...
It was very long.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people say that. I mean, 29 minutes is a lot for any match, but a tag team match, the one thing I'm seeing a lot of people kind of say is that it dragged in the middle because the heat segment was so long, which maybe wouldn't have been much of a problem if there was an actual crowd there. And it's an interesting point, when you are in front of a crowd, there's certain things that you do just for the point of getting the reaction from the crowd. Now, always you're going to have a heat segment, right? But what you do in that heat and how long that heat lasts has a lot to do with the crowd reaction. Sometimes I'll be working and we'll be like doing the heat and I'll think, okay, maybe it's a good time to fire up, and I'll throw a couple shots, quick schoolboy. We'll be close to each other for the cover. I'll be like, fire up. They're like, nah, too soon. We'll just work the heat for like 2 more minutes because we're reading the reactions. When you don't have a crowd to really react, then there's certain things that you're going to do differently or not do at all. So, not having seen all of it, but only read it, I would say maybe they probably could have cut it by like 5 or 10. It probably wouldn't have hurt nothing. I think I love the finish because, with them being mentored by Tully Blanchard and everything, having the Spike Pile Driver, the old Brainbusters finish, be what they win the belts with, I think that's fantastic. We don't see enough of that in wrestling, I think. Like, we used to see that all the time. Like, somebody takes on so-and-so as their mentor and they start, like, doing their moves, or there's a right and a wrong way to do it. Like trying to turn AJ Styles into Ric Flair didn't work. That was bad. But there's ways when you can do it and have it make sense. And I think this is a great way to do that. And, I was right with this prediction again for a change. So, nothing really, sounds like a great match. Just sounds like they probably could have trimmed it a little bit by like 5 or 10 and gotten to the exact same place.
On that note, I'm thinking maybe because, however the Matt Hardy and Guevara match was supposed to go, it probably would have been a bit longer. Maybe they were just kind of filling in the time, I guess.
Good point. I'm always thinking, again, you gotta always keep in mind too, there's the work perspective and the fan perspective. So like where I'm from, I remember one time we used to announce time limits before every match on the card, just because people get antsy. People get bored sometimes if you tell them that you're going to be here all day. So we'd usually like, this match has a 15-minute time limit or whatever, because we're only going 8, but we want to send an impression we're not going to keep you here all day. So I remember once I'm working security, and the guy was supposed to, it was the main event, and the guy doing announcing was supposed to say this match has a half-hour, 30-minute time limit, and he botched, and he said this match has a 1-hour time limit, and the promoter was standing right there, and in front of God and everybody, he yelled at the guy, "Don't say 1-hour time limit, Jesus Christ, they're all going to get up and leave." You tell them, you make them think they're going to be sitting here till fucking midnight. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that's. I always think in the back of my mind about shit like that too. Obviously, if you can hold somebody's attention for that long, then it's good. But again, so much of the reason to even have a long match is for crowd reactions, and if there's no crowd to react, well, it kind of falls flat. But it's not saying it's bad; it's just saying it's questionable.
Well, the contrary to what my brother said, I think what Mark says, the match between Guevara and Matt Hardy, I think that one went a little too long. That was, obviously that was more like a little work accident that happened in that match that made it last a little longer. So, I'm assuming that all the other matches had a schedule to last a certain amount of time, but if you say that Sammy Guevara match, was kind of like to take the blame for making the pay-per-view, 3 hours long? 3 hours and 40-something minutes long?
Yeah, it seemed like it was a long one. It was the only thing I've heard people say really negative about some of the matches were said to be very good, but they could have clipped a few minutes here, a few minutes there. But I'm curious to hear what Knives has to say, because it sounds like he not only called the finish, but maybe the next few weeks of angles, too.
Yeah, well, I kind of did, didn't I? But no, I think with this whole segment, well, one of the things I've always said about FTR, what I love about them, even when they were the Revival, is that you've even heard Cornette say it, that they bring back old school tag team. And a lot of people are like, what does that mean? Like, what does that actually mean? Does it mean no flippy shit? No, that's not what that means. What that means, and you will see this all the time in AEW, the reason FTR are so good, they never telegraph. They do not set you up for a move. They just do it. They just hit it. They don't tell you when they're going to come at you. They just boom. And then that's intimidating. Especially for, say, a team like Private Party, where it's like, hang on, guys. We got to do a backflip. Now we got to do a pose. Hang on. And now we got to kick you. FTR will just be like, nope. That's what I liked about them. But what I predicted happening was that, yeah, Kenny was going to attack Hangman. I didn't think it was going to be an accident, but I thought he was legitimately going to V-trigger him and leave him. And I think that there's going to be a dissension where the Elite clearly have already turned on Hangman. Now it's a matter of, are they going to become the Elite, or is Kenny going to become the cleaner? Because there's a big difference in that thing. But overall, the whole match, I thought not only was it a fantastic match that had me on the edge of my seat, but it was also, I think it was better than the Hangman Kenny versus the Bucks match at Double or Nothing. I thought this was a better match because of the dynamic between them was so different. You really didn't know what FTR was going to do. You really didn't predict anything that was going to happen. You knew that with the Young Bucks knowing Kenny and knowing Hangman, that they had that, oh, we know you kind of thing. But you kind of got an aspect of okay, well, Kenny's going to do this, and the Bucks are going to try this, and Hangman's going to try. You know what I mean? But with FTR, you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know that they're going to do this move instead of this move, because they'll pull out old moves from back in 1976 that no one's seen, or something that you're like, what just happened? And also the intimidation with Tully Blanchard. And I was legit shocked Tully never did anything. Because I was expecting him to, maybe sneak attack or something. Or not sneak attack, but, kind of, grab Hangman's shoe or, something. But he didn't.
Well, not always necessary. It's like the old adage says, two guys who are on the same page will beat two guys who aren't, whether or not they have help.
Right. And the whole conflict of the match wasn't, can FTR beat Hangman and Kenny? It's, can Kenny and Hangman coexist? And I'm like, if you're already the champions, it's just it's exactly what they were saying in the promo package. If you can't even coexist, then how are you tag champions? Why are you tag champions? And it's the same thing I've been saying from the beginning. I've been saying, why are they tag champs? They should never have been tag champs. They're singles wrestlers. I've been saying that from like the get-go. I'm like, why did you put the belts on them? They're not a team. They don't even come out to the same theme song. But like I said, I'm happy FTR won. The right people won. I was happy with the match overall. No one looked bad in the end. Everyone looked fantastic. It really felt like a rewatchable match. Like a match that if someone's like, man, I want to see some good tag team, you put on this match. You know what I mean? Like one of those kind of matches. That's how I felt about it. And I was really, really satisfied. I know it was long for a lot of people, but see, for me, it's not. But like for a lot of people, I could see where it would be a long match. And I do think, back to Johnny's point, you do have a good point. I think that with the Guevara-Hardy debacle, all that happened, I could tell that match was probably going to go on for another, maybe like 12 minutes. And that also explains, if you rewatch the pay-per-view, if you think about the pay-per-view as a whole, the reason the Rosa-Shida match was so long was probably to fill in time. And this match was probably supposed to fill in time, but then they got so into the match that they lost track of time, you know what I mean? And I think that's one of the reasons that the pay-per-view felt a little more dragging. But it wasn't necessarily, I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was a fantastic match. I felt that there was no, there's no real negativity about the entire match. Because Kenny could have, like, at the end of the match, like, hit, like, Paige with, like, a one-winged angel walk off, or, you know, whatever. Or, like, say, I was sad, I was happy that this didn't happen. But if you remember when Paige and Hangman won the tag titles, do you remember what happened right after they won it? Like the second they won it? The Young Bucks came out. They literally go, oh yay, look what we all did together. Yay. I'm like, no, dude, you didn't do jack shit. They're like, look at what the Elite did. I'm like, dude, the Elite didn't do jack shit. These guys won it. And the whole time they've been champions, it's been the Young Bucks going, hey, what about our spotlight? And Paige is like, dude, seriously? This is his first title he's ever had, and then you're going to go like, nah, you're a drunk. Nah. And I'm like, dude, piss off.
Oh, boy.
So for keeping score, since Johnny was the only one to stay true to Kenny Omega and Hangman, that kind of cost them. Everyone else assumed it was FTR's time to shine, so I got 3 points, Jack Knives got 3 points, Ricky Rocks got 3 points, Johnny is still stuck at 1 point, and somehow Jupi's got over 9,000 points.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with having a point level of over 9,000. I don't know, so far by just listening to some of the you guys' recaps on the matches that I couldn't watch, some of them sound like they were pretty interesting to have seen. I'm really most interested in the Matt Hardy one though.
Ugh.
That just sounds like a horrible thing. But at the same time, they're old.
I get it. No, I get it. I watch horror films. I get it.
But he's like, he's an old school dude. So like Jericho and all of them, it's like the show has to go on. Maybe I can't see all the fingers you're holding up in front of me, but this will go on.
One thing I will add. One last thing about the Hardy thing I never got to mention. So the Dynamite before All Out, what really pissed me off was like Tony Schiavone goes, well, we all know Matt Hardy is the master of the table match. I'm like, ladder match.
Well, what's the little thing like that?
Oh, that's why he's Tony Schiavone. Everyone else is higher. So, okay, so right now we got Chris Jericho, Le Champion against Orange Cassidy, Freshly Squeezed, in a Mimosa match to end the rivalry once and for all. This one I got some more notes. This one's, of course, a much more entertaining match. The ring has 2 giant vats full of mimosa, which is, of course, OJ mixed with the bubbly on either side of the ring. And the way it works, you could lose by pin, submission, or by launching the other guy into the vat. And it has to be like a full-on dunk into the vat. It doesn't count if you just got your face in it. It has to be like the full body. So let me just go through that real quick.
Wait, before you do so, I have a question. I'm sorry, I have to ask this.
Yes.
Was anyone allowed to partake in all of this? I'm sorry, I just been dunking my cup in there, like, yeah, go, y'all can fight, I want to drink.
Well, you probably don't want to drink after there's been wrestlers swimming around in it, so...
I think Tony Khan probably did before the show.
Oh, God. Anyways, Cassidy comes in his typical calm fashion, and he does the thing where he, like, it's surprising, but he does the thing where he raises his hand, and he's gonna, do the famous put the hands in the pockets, but instead he just bum rushes Jericho, but Jericho still hits him with a code breaker. So, I mean, it was a surprise attack, but he still kind of sort of saw it coming. We got a backdrop suplex on Cassidy. We got a couple of nasty chops, and there was one time where Cassidy actually chopped Jericho and like down, like holy shit. Jericho tries to catapult Cassidy into the vat, but Cassidy kicks out of that. He avoids it before it happens. He tries to push his face into the vat, so of course the referees remind us that doesn't count. It has to be like the full body. Jericho tosses Cassidy into a little table set outside, like a little like just outside of the ring, which is a little table with a little case of ice with the bubbly and a little bucket and all that. It was just there for decoration, but well, maybe not decoration. So Jericho tosses Cassidy right through the table. It breaks apart. There's ice. There's glass everywhere. He hits him with the cocktail tray and it shatters. Cassidy throws Jericho out of the platform. Cassidy runs and does a big splash on him. He throws more punches to Jericho. Sends him to the safety rail that's always disconnected for some reason. Even the commentary comments on why is it there if it's not connected right. Jericho hits him with a steel chair. They're trading more shots, inches away from the Mimosa bat. Orange Cassidy jumps, but Jericho catches him and slams him, trying to slam him into the vat, but instead he power bombs him through the table. And I'm like, dude, just throw him in the vat already, right? You have him, right? Chris is trying to drag Cassidy towards the vat, but Cassidy gets out of it. Jericho grabs his little baseball bat, but before he could do anything to it, Cassidy super kicks him in the jaw. Cassidy hits him with the champagne bucket in the face. They go back to the ring. They're throwing punches. Cassidy almost falls into the vat. Jericho does a drop kick off the rope. Cassidy's like literally inches from the vat, and he's tottering, like he's almost gonna fall, but he does maintain his balance before falling, and he tries to pin Jericho real quick, like a roll-up pin, but he still kicks out. The referee reminds you that pins still count for this. Let me see here. Cassidy does a swinging DDT, but Jericho reverses it and grabs him into the walls of Jericho, and there is no disqualification. So even though Cassidy does climb up, he manages to crawl to the ropes and everything. Audrey is still there to remind them that no rope break. This is no disqualification and everything. So Cassidy is still stuck in the walls of Jericho. He manages to still grab the little glass from earlier, the glass that comes with champagne, and grab some of the mimosa from the vat, and he throws it right into Jericho's face. So people make a deal, you got like orange juice and alcohol now burning your eyes. So Jericho's blinded. Cassidy does his version of the Superman punch. They call it like the orange Superman punch that knocks down Jericho. Cassidy tries to throw Jericho into the vat, but only his foot gets splashed in it. Cassidy tries to climb the ropes and does another punch on Jericho. Jericho is trying to grab him off the ropes so he could just, grab him that way and directly toss him into the vat. But Cassidy, he just drops down into the ring, so he's not, thrown out. He does a Hurricanrana off the ropes. He runs and kicks Jericho. And this is the part I put in my notes. No, totally missed, because yeah, that was so fake. That was one of those kicks that did not connect, but in kayfabe you're like, okay, because Jericho fell back. The ones where like several feet away, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like that horrible Undertaker kick on John Cena. Anyways, That was, and they even screen cap it on Instagram. I'm like saying, why did you screen cap that on Instagram? That foot never hit him. Anyways, we got a round the world DDT. Cassidy jumps off the rope. Jericho grabs him with a code breaker again. Cassidy kicks out of the pin. Jericho's on the ropes now, trying to toss Cassidy into the vat, but Cassidy does the orange Superman punch while Jericho is still stuck on the ropes, and Jericho, as you all expect, fell, slam, dunk into the Mimosa. Orange Cassidy won. The thing that surprised me the most, though, is that Jericho was just more shocked than anything. He didn't really do his tantrums or no, what the hell? He didn't do anything. So that was kind of weird. I don't know. That was kind of interesting. He didn't do a tantrum. He was just more shocked that he lost. Obviously pissed, but he didn't throw a tantrum. And I'm also surprised that being a no disqualification match, there was no interference from any member of the Inner Circle at all. Like, that's interesting. So, what are your thoughts, guys?
Johnny, lead us off.
Well, this is another one of those matches. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but I actually felt this match went a little too long, but I understand the reasons why, because it's the whole suspense of, can either of them fall down into that mimosa? You know, like that's the appeal of the match. So I don't know. I actually like the match in a way that actually showcases how, well, we already know how good of a wrestler Chris Jericho is, but this is a time where you actually get to see Cassidy, his skills. You know, he's more serious now. He's not putting his hands in his pockets. So it actually showcases a little bit more what he can do in the ring against a more formidable opponent like Chris Jericho. The ending, I mean, I like the ending. I mean, the match had to end sometime soon, but to me, it felt kind of like, I don't know. It just felt like, okay, we just got to make Chris Jericho fall in the mimosa just to end the match. That's kind of like the impression I got from it, from the last minute of it. But the match in general was so pretty good. It was just the ending that was kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys think about it.
Didn't see it, read about it. Again, you know, I got to caveat them to with all of this. I didn't see the show, but I read a ton about it before coming on today. And, yeah, it seems to be one of the better reviewed matches on the show. People like it pretty well. You know, for a rubber match, a gimmick match isn't a bad way to go with it. I was a little surprised, like you said, that Jericho didn't really sell the Mimosa bump the way he might have. Because, like I said in my prediction, I was like, the whole match, the only point to do it is to see Jericho throw a tantrum, and he didn't even do that, so it's kind of like, but, yeah, I mean, they had a job to do with this angle and this match, which was to shine up Cassidy for maybe bigger things to come, and they did that. And you know how I know they did that? Oh, God, do I hate when people do this nowadays. This is where I go into fucking cornet mode again. Because this afternoon, Jericho himself is all over the internet like, yeah, you know, we wanted to do this whole angle just to make Cassidy look like a more serious competitor and make him look good, and I couldn't wait to get everybody invested in this and put him over and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, Lord. You know, on Wednesday you go on TV, I'm going to kill you, Orange Cassidy, and then on Sunday you're on the internet, yeah, I couldn't wait to work with this guy, I love him to death, and blah, blah, blah. It's like,
well, it is Sunday, church and all that, you know.
Well, I know there's no curtain anymore. I hate it. Like, we used to get yelled at for shit like this, but back in the early days of Facebook and shit, and of course everybody disregards it now. But
thanks,
at
Click.
Point, we all got sat down at one point at the company I worked for, and they were like, I need you guys to stop jacking each other off on Twitter and Facebook, okay? I have you guys in a death match on Saturday where you're going to be fighting all over the building, hitting each other with fucking cookie sheets, and then on Sunday you're jerking each other off over how much fun you guys had. Can you stop doing that? And now 10 years later, nobody cares. But again, I'm still, to a certain degree, old school in my mentality. And when, Jericho, when he does stuff like that, I get it. I get it. We all get it. It's not real. But just, I don't know.
I actually have to agree with that. I mean, we know that kayfabe died long ago. Thank you, Click. But yes, we know kayfabe did die a long time ago. But at the same time, I really wish that a lot of people in general wouldn't get on social media so fast and kind of ruin things, in my opinion.
Not so fast, at least. Next month is one thing. You literally just got out of the feud.
Yeah, that's
wait off until give it a fucking couple weeks before you start sucking the guy off.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I mean, this isn't look. All we ask is if you're expecting us to believe the drama, and you want us to legitimately believe that there's drama, then make it believable. It's as simple as that. I mean, look. Everyone says MJF is a fucking asshole because he keeps kayfabe. But the point of it is, he keeps kayfabe. He's the only one of the few people that do keep kayfabe in at least North America. They stay, they're not, good example. I know I always bring back New Japan because, like I said, it's my favorite thing because it's one of the only things that seems to understand the aspect of pretty much everything wrestling. When you look at New Japan, you do not see Bullet Club members getting takoyaki with members of Suzuki-gun. It doesn't happen. You don't see back in the day, you didn't see the Four Horsemen hanging out with the Legion of Doom. It didn't happen.
Shit, man, I've been on, when I work at the factory, sometimes they have a meet and greet after the show, right? And at the factory, it's at the Paulsboro Wrestling Club in Paulsboro, New Jersey. So it's a big, wide open wrestling arena, for amateur wrestling. They put up the curtain set. They also have this huge weight room. It's this is where the Performance Center actually probably ripped off all their shit, because the way they do things is how the Monster Factory has been doing them for decades. So when we're in the back, we all kind of intermix, but when we're doing a thing for the fans, a meet and greet kind of thing, they're okay, behind the curtain is the heel locker room, and then the weight room, that's the face locker room. So everybody get where you gotta be and fucking stay there. So you're a face, you go in the weight room, you're a heel, you stay here right behind the curtain because we're gonna be bringing these fans in. Don't move from your fucking locker room. Everybody knows your buddies, but that's not the fucking point. And it's just, I've even been on shows where they have a legit heel and face locker room, you'll get a minute in the, you'll find a shady spot outside or something to call your match, but some people are still old school like that. And it's interesting because it's a thing that's only, unique to wrestling. Kayfabe, it's kind of more, it's more like magic than it is any other kind of entertainment. Because it's different. When you watch fucking a superhero movie, right? It's not problematic for Jesse Eisenberg to come out and do an interview and say, "Oh, I loved working with Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill," because we understand it's all just for show and haha anyway. It's a movie, so we don't expect him to actually hate these guys just because they play heroic characters and he's a villain, right? But with wrestling, it's weird. You've been burying this guy, or not burying legit, but you've been feuding with this guy for weeks, and then, in the same breath, you turn around and it's it's all just for show, we had a great time, and it just kind of kills it. Whereas then you got Penn and Teller, who I like a lot. And they kind of straddle that line, because they'll constantly tell you, this is all bullshit. You people realize that, right? There's no such fucking thing as magic. What are you, stupid? Okay, so tell us how you did that. Nope. Because they'll break kayfabe to a point, but they won't literally break it. They'll go so far as to say, yeah, this isn't real, but we're not going to fully pull back the curtain. And I respect that.
Right. Exactly. My whole thoughts on the match were that I felt that it was a good match. I honestly was surprised at how good it was, especially with kind of what Ricky Rock said. The truth of it is usually when you have gimmick matches, you set a bar pretty low. Like especially goofy gimmick matches, like literally just the name Mimosa Mayhem Match. Do you honestly think that's going to be like a legitimate? Oh man, this is gonna be one of the best of all time. No, you don't.
I was going to say I was hoping that at least somebody would have come across as a bit drunk during the match, you know.
You know what I would have loved to seen? I know this is a random spot. Like if there was a point where like Cassidy hits like Jericho with like, or like Jericho brings in a chair, Cassidy reverses it, knocks him out with his own chair or something, you know, like drop kicks it, and then it bounces into Jericho's head or whatever, and he's down on the mat. And then Cassidy just casually goes out to the thing, hits a glass, and puts a little, and tries handing some off to Aubrey Edwards, the ref, and she's like, no. Like, just, that would have been hilarious. I would have loved to have seen something like that. But no, I agree with that. That would have been...
You know what would have been good for, like, internal storyline, but just, you know, more random shit, but it also would have been funny, haha, but too much, but it just would have tickled me. They're fighting, right? And then they fight a little bit away from the vets, and then out of nowhere, fucking Brody Lee comes out kicking the crap out of Colt Cabana like he's been beating him up for 20 fucking minutes and throws him into the fucking mimosa and then just leaves. And then the ref's got to be like, nope, he's not a participant. Match still goes on. I would have just laughed.
Something like that. That would have been funny. I mean, like I said,
you know,
but
you pretend you've been beating them up since they lost the fucking tag, you know?
Right. But going into what I was saying before, I mean, I was surprised at how good it actually was. Not with who was in it, because I know how good they are. It was more of like what they literally kind of really did turn shit into gold. Not saying the match was shit. I'm saying the concept sounded stupid.
They did better than what was expected given the restrictions such a stipulation would suggest.
And it did definitively do what it was intended to do, and that is definitively prove that it's exactly what Jericho said. He said he made Orange Cassidy an actual legit contender and a threat. That was the intention, and that's what he did.
I bet Cornette had a stroke.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I liked the match, and I mean, it was a pretty good match, and I gotta say that the extra little props with the table, the bucket with the bubbly, that kind of stuff, that kind of helped along, so it was a bit more of a gimmick, you know. I like the Walls of Jericho spot where, like, you're trying to break it with the ropes, and you gotta be reminded, there's no rope break, it's no disqualification, so, like, you're like, oh, shit, now you're in deep shit now, and stuff like that, and I don't know, I also like it because, I know Jericho's obviously not as fast as he used to be. If you notice, a lot of the matches where Jericho's like in a tag team or a multi-man, you know, the entire inner circle, he's the one that kind of sort of does the least. So for a match like this that's more gimmicky and whatever, and it wasn't like terribly long, he got to like, you know, he got to go through the whole match without really, you know, having much time to get gassed or anything. So he looked pretty good during the match. And yeah, it was just good. It was good as I was expecting between two of them. I was just kind of surprised that there was no tantrum stuff. I was surprised there was no interference from the inner circle, and that the best friends came in to keep them away or whatever. So, you know. So for the score real quick, before we go on to the main event, for the score here, yeah, sorry?
I did have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, since you guys saw the match and all that, you said, something Ricky Rocks mentioned earlier was how this was a very good reviewed match. You know, it seemed like a lot of people liked it. Do you think that a lot of people also really liked it because it was a Jericho match? Even though you guys were saying, like, you know, he didn't do, like, the things he would typically do. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, what I'm hearing people say is simply that they thought the match outshined the expectations, because given that it's a gimmick match, people sometimes lower their expectations, but like Jack said, they really outshined. and that they bought the story. Like, it was all done to get Pockets over, and, you know, it seemed to have done that. So I think it's a little bit of everything. Yeah, fuck Pockets. Nah, he ain't all that bad.
I can imagine what's his face, Cornette, you know. Well, like if Pockets is such a good star, he can move like that, then what was the point of making him all lazy in the first place? What the fuck, this damn mud show backyard wrestling or whatever. So anyways,
shit, boy, I didn't know he could wrestle. Holy shit, I thought all he was an Abercrombie and Fitch model, boy. I bet you wish you could do that.
Oh, man.
I would like to thank you for really, that was a great impression. I want to thank you for that.
God. So anyways.
No problem. I can do a Vince Russo too. We'd be like, bro, you know what they needed? They needed more clown shoes. They should have made it a clown shoe mimosa match. But that doesn't make any sense. Bro, you don't see the big picture. It's not about the wrestling. It's about what the fans want. And what they want is clown shoes. Hear me out, bro. I know what I'm talking about.
Bro, you order the pizza, and then, get this, the guy shows up, you open the box, he hits you in the face with a frozen bass. Bro, they'll never expect that. That's the swerve.
Oh, boy. Anyways, Johnny was the only one that was faithful to Le Champion, and that cost him. Everyone else was going for freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. So in this case, I got 4 points, Knives got 4 points, Ricky Rocks got 4 points, Johnny's hanging out with 1 point, and Jupi has over 9,000 points and a big glass of mimosa.
Yay, mimosa! Yeah.
Which reminds me, Johnny, the next time we go out drinking, we gotta ask for some mimosa, you know, once all this stuff calms down. Because
yeah, the mimosa.